The topic chosen for the FDP is also very important in today's scenario regarding new paradigms and new technologies. And I think that in the previous sessions, these topics must have been covered elaborately by the esteemed speakers earlier. Today, as the topic which was suggested by me to speak upon, that is legal education and the role of Bar Council of India under the new education policy, because these three things are very much in existence in today's scenario, considering 2020 rules of the Bar Council of India, 2020 national education policy, and over and above the legal education, which is the basic theme. So, as you may be knowing that the legal education in India is primarily imparted by three kinds of the institutions. One that is central universities and state universities and the law schools, law departments, etc. in the university campus. At the same time, constituent colleges and private colleges affiliated to the university. So this is the first system which is imparting legal education. The second type of the legal education which is being imparted, that is through the national law universities schools. Though you may be aware that name is national, however, they are established under the state laws. And the third is the third system which is imparting legal education, that is the private universities. So we are having a lot of private universities, and many of them are doing wonderful job in imparting legal education, and Amity is one of them. Now, these three type of the legal institutions, they offer either a 3-year LLB program, that is known as the LLB, that was introduced by Bar Council of India since 1967, because prior to 1967, we were having 2 years law course. And another type of the legal education which is being imparted, that is 5-year integrated law program. And that was introduced in the year 1982. And this is an integrated degree that includes the other papers of the social sciences and the other humanities. And now we are seeing that this 5-year degree is having a BA LLB, BBA LLB, BSc LLB, BCom LLB. And you see the IIT, the Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, that is also offering LLB with the specialization in IP rights, that is intellectual property rights. So this is the UG degree of law, that is a 3-year LLB and 5-year LLB. Then after that, at PG level, we see that there is a 1-year LLM program that was started as per the UGC guidelines in the year 2013. And the second PG program is of 2 years, that is LLM. It is either general LLM or it may be with specialization. So various universities and departments, they offer a specialization in LLM program, PG course of law. And accordingly, the degree is being given on the basis of the specialization like constitutional law, commercial law, international law, criminal law, family law, human rights law, and now in the list, the IP law, intellectual property laws also, and many more specializations are there, which is being conferred by various universities and departments for 2-year master's program known as the LLM. Besides that program, then we are having some research programs also in the university system of legal education. That is MPhil. Though it's not a common program in all the universities, however, some of the universities run this course, MPhil. Like in UPVC, Bundelkhand University was conferring this MPhil program. Then after that MPhil program, we have PhD programs also. And you see almost all the universities which are running the PG program, Master of Laws, they are also running PhD program. And in that PhD program, the basic qualification is the Masters of Law degree must be there, and the student can take admission for the PhD program. And in some of the universities, this Doctor of Philosophy or PhD program has been given a different nomenclature also. As you know that DPhil is the nomenclature which is given for the PhD or the research program. In Allahabad University, it is named like DPhil. And besides that, there is one more degree in the research program, that is LLD program. So initially, some of the universities confer LLD degree for research in law. Now, in some of the universities, this degree is being given after the PhD degree, like University of Lucknow is conferring that LLD degree. But the pre-qualification for LLD is that the candidate must have a PhD degree. Similarly, the Chanakya National Law University is also conferring LLD degree after PhD program. So the quality of students for different institutions is vastly different. As I have given you that there are three types of the institutions. So the students are taking admission in all these institutions, and the quality of the students is different accordingly as the institutions are also different. And there is a drastic, you see, disparity also in the extent and the kind of legal education these different institutions are imparting. So in this background of law degrees and the institutions which are offering legal education, I'll be discussing on three points relating to legal education. One, that is what constitutes legal education. And secondly, the efforts which have been made by various commissions and committees just in order to improve the legal education. So some relevant parts of those reports, because the Law Commission of India has also, reported and recommended in its 14th report and 184th report regarding legal education. And there are certain committees also. I'll be discussing this as the second part of my lecture. And in the third part of my lecture, I'll be discussing the role of Bar Council of India in legal education and the National Education Policy 2020, and what are the provisions and what is the viewpoint of National Education Policy with reference to legal education. So coming to the first as what constitutes the legal education. The Law Commission of India defines the legal education as a science. A science which gives to the students the knowledge of certain principles and certain provisions of law, and also make them enabled to enter into the legal profession, because without a law degree, a person cannot enter in the legal profession. So legal education, which is a science, is also making the student enabled to enter the legal profession. Further, it is also considered to be a technique. Legal education is a technique also. You can say it's a platform for rational, for orderly and amicable settlement of the disputes or any conflict between the parties. The handling of conflict between the parties is also a technique, and that can be done only when a person is having the legal education. So, like every other institutions in Indian society, we see that higher education in general and legal education in particular, it is also in continuation, or it is in the continuing process of important changes. Because legal education was started way back, and it is still in the process of changes. So change in its organization, changes in its management, or changes in the contents and delivery also. As I told you, now we have moved to the technology, so delivery is also being changed. In the latest 2020 rules, we'll find that the online education or use of technology, that is all the part of not only of the BCI rules, but also of the NEP, National Education Policy. So the changes, that is something very important. These are being taken place in the organization, management, as well as in the content and delivery of the education system. So the basic factor in this transformation is also not only the pandemic, but the basis is the constitutional mandate. The constitutional mandate to build a social order, the constitutional mandate to build a country or the nation, which is to be based on the democracy or democratic values or human rights and rule of law. So securing all these things to the citizens of the country, justice, liberty, equality, and dignity, as it is known, it requires that there must be changes according to the situation in the education as a whole and legal education in particular. So the changes are there in the legal education also. And we can say that legal education in India is the foundation for building a society based on the rule of law. So in order to integrate the legal profession, because we are talking about the legal education, and as the law commission says, legal education is a science which is to handle the or to give way for the legal profession. So to integrate this education with that profession throughout the country under the uniform standards, Parliament enacted the Indian Advocates Act in 1961, and this was based on the recommendations of one of the expert committee. And this Advocate Act created duly elected bar councils at the central level or the state levels, and the authority to manage the legal profession. It is also to maintain the standards of legal education in consultation with the universities for law teaching as to what is to be taught in the law universities or in the universities where departments are running legal education. So to maintain these standards, the provisions have been made in the Advocates Act also. And in one of the article which was written by Professor Madhav Mane, and that was published in Harvard Law Review, when he was of the opinion that the first generation reforms in the phase of legal education that included LLB program of 3 years duration, and after the basic degree of art, science, and commerce, etc. So one can notice the rapid expansion of law teaching institutions in the private sectors too. After 1961, when the act was enacted, and 1967, 3 year LLB program started. And after that, you see, when the Advocates Act was enacted, that conferred the power on the Bar Council of India also to inspect the for the inspection of the legal institutions or educational institutions, as well as to give the approval for the courses, to give them the licenses also. So one can notice the rapid expansion of law teaching institutions in the private sectors also. And many of them started as the part-time program, that is morning law course or evening law course. So classes were running either in the morning or in the evening in the regular colleges or regular university departments. So, so far as the teachers were concerned, they were mainly coming from the bar. They were the practicing advocates. So they were giving lectures during their leisure time. So either in the morning or evening, that is before or after their court work time. So at this stage, there was also the development of syllabus and the core curriculum, which included some mandatory subjects, and these mandatory subjects were offered in the full-time and part-time law colleges equally. Further, you see a compulsory 1 year apprenticeship with the senior advocates after the LLB was required for every student, so that he can be made eligible to go to the court of law for practicing as an advocate. So 3 years degree, and after that 1 year apprenticeship with the senior advocate, that was there. Meaning thereby we can say that if any student has passed the LLB program, he will not be given the license to practice in the court unless he has undergone 1 year apprenticeship, that is post LLB and apprenticeship. So later this apprenticeship was removed as the part of the degree, and within 2 decades, you see that after this act of 1961, the access to legal education was greatly expanded, and with a consequential dilution also in the quality of legal education. As part of the regulatory mandate, as I told you, the BCI has the power to inspect the law colleges, and the BCI has begun inspecting and giving the licenses to the law colleges. So the BCI team members, they physically visit the law colleges periodically to grant the license or to renew the recognition of any of the law course in the departments or in the law colleges. So if a law college is not recognized by the BCI, law graduates of those colleges can neither enroll themselves as an advocate nor they can practice in any courts in India. However, you see, there have been serious concerns about the manner in which BCI has used this power, which resulted in mushrooming law colleges in the country. And everyone in the field must be aware that these inspections are nothing to do with the standards. Because I'm talking about the legal education and the standards criteria is to be fixed by the Bar Council of India, and everybody knows that how these inspections are made. And you see that these inspections are not to take anything with the standards of education. Rather, money and gifts to the inspection teams is the sole criteria to get approval from BCI for the law colleges for UG courses, particularly LLB and 5-year LLB program. Because LLM was not in the purview of the Bar Council of India. Now, this mushrooming of law colleges, there is a need to ensure the quality, and that the quality is not to be compromised in the guise of the creating opportunities for the students. This was the direction of the Madras High Court very recently, that is on 23rd March 2021. And the court also observed in this judgment that it is seen that the quality is not compromised in the course of more and more law colleges being born, and in this guise of this opportunity, because the role of the BCI in improving the standards of legal education is dependent on the weight of the purse of license seeker, the law colleges and the universities. So if you are going by the weight of the purse, where would be the standard, which is the basic criteria for any educational system, and particularly when we are talking about the legal education, that is very important among all the professional educational education system, then it is required that the BCI has to improve its role regarding standards of legal education. So this is something about the legal education. Next is the commission and committees which were working or which have worked for the betterment of the legal education. So, Law Commission of India in its 184th report that has given a reference, that was of 2002, that has given a reference of a book which was published in the name Legal Education and Profession in India. That was by Shri P.L. Mehta and Sushma Gupta. So these two authors, they have written this book, and they have correlated a history of legal education. They have traced the history of legal education through 1861 to 1961. And as per their, written or book in that is written in that book, first India University Commission report, that was of 1902, and then 1949 there was Bombay Legal Committee, Education Committee, that also has given certain recommendations for the standard of legal education. Then Inter-University Board, All India Bar Committees, Chagla Committee. So you see in sequence, since 1902 to 1958, there were a lot many reports which have been recommended by various authorities and committees and commissions. And then in 1958, the 14th report of the Law Commission, that was presided over by M.C. Setalwad. That all has given its recommendations regarding the standard to make the quality legal education, and that was worked upon also. Then you see that committee was appointed by Dr. C.D. Deshmukh. He was the Vice Chancellor of Delhi University, and the committee appointed the chairman, Justice Gajendra Gadkar of the Supreme Court in 1964. And that committee in 1964 has given various recommendations, and one of the notable recommendation of the Gajendra Gadkar committee was to set up the model national law schools, which we find that has come up in Bangalore first, and after that this idea was taken by this Professor Upendra Bakshi and Madhav Menon. So the idea was, we can say, devised by Gajendra Gadkar Committee in 1964. Besides that, you see, there were various formulations in the name of the All India Seminars on Legal Education 1972. Then UGC, University Grants Commission, that is the basic authority for education, higher education, that has also appointed a committee, and that committee was under the chairmanship of Professor Upendra Bakshi, that has submitted a report. It was having more than 800 pages report, that was of 1988-90. And every teacher in law must be aware about that UGC curriculum development report, that is also known as the CDC committee report. Then after that, and still we are following that curricula which has been defined in that 1988-89 committee of the Professor Upendra Bakshi, that is CDC report on the legal education, which includes both the PG law as well as the UG courses. Then Justice Ahmadi report of 1994, and importantly, you see the another committee which was there, that was of the National Knowledge Commission report of 2007. But important among them was the University Education Commission of 1948, which was under the chairmanship of S. Radhakrishnan, who was the second president of India also, vice president of India also. Then you see that in 1948, this committee has submitted its report, and this commission has submitted its report, and the commission proposed to take up various issues which were equally important and which would go a long way in improving the quality of legal education. So they have started right from a thorough reorganizing of the law colleges, the staff recruitment, the 3 years course with apprenticeship, and then as I told you that the advocates were teaching in the morning and evening classes. So this commission also recommended that the staff of the law faculties be recruited and controlled in the university, similarly as they are being recruited for other disciplines like arts and science faculties. So the full-time law teachers are to be appointed. And further, a 3-year law degree course in pre-legal and general studies is also to be required for admission to the law courses. Then the staff that is to be full-time and half-time. So accordingly, they were of the opinion that the apprenticeship in the advocates chamber, that is very important for the students who are wishing to go to the legal practices. So after legal education, this was also one of the recommendation of this commission of 1948. Then you see the law classes to be scheduled only during the regular hours of teaching. It's not the morning class or the evening class, but during the regular hours of the teaching. And the students who are pursuing the law degree, they shall not be permitted to carry on any other degree course simultaneously, because when there were morning classes or evening classes, then you see the students, they were having 2 degrees simultaneously, because evening and morning, that was not clashing with the other classes. And at that same time, the universities were also having no objection at that time, and the students, they were getting 2 degrees at a time. So this commission has also recommended that the degree course which the students they are pursuing in law, they shall not be permitted to carry other degree courses simultaneously or at the same time. And then the research facilities and the opportunities must also be made available to the faculty members, particularly in the constitutional law, international law, administrative law, jurisprudence. So these were the system which was recommended by the commission of 1948. Then Law Commission of India report 184th report, which was submitted in 2002. That is also another great, we can say, step towards the quality of legal education. And you see in the Law Commission of India, it took up the subject of legal education so much, as the commission saw that this subject as a fundamental to the very foundation of the judicial system. So the report focused on the respective roles of the Bar Council of India and the UGC, University Grants Commission. So the main focus of 184th report of the Law Commission of India, that was focusing on the roles of Bar Council of India and the University Grants Commission. Now, as a law teacher, as a law student, we must know as to what is the legality of these two, the acts of these two authorities and agencies, that is Bar Council and the UGC. So UGC, University Grants Commission, that was established by an act of 1956, and that act was passed by the Parliament with respect to the subject matter which we find in entry 66 of the list 1 in the Constitution of India 7th schedule, and entry 66 that is related to the coordination and determination of standards of institutions for higher education. So the standards of higher education are to be seen by the University Grants Commission. This is one thing. And the act was enacted by the Parliament under the list 1 of the 7th schedule. And the basic statement of the object and the reasons which were initiated in law, which were there in the bill of this UGC, University Grants Commission, that was simply the standard that the UGC has to see the standards of teaching and examination in the university. The other act, that is the Advocates Act 1961, by which this Bar Council of India has been established, elected. So you see that this Advocates Act was also passed by the Parliament, and the Parliament passed this act by virtue of its power under entries 77 and 78 under list 1. Again, it is the union list of the 7th schedule to the Constitution of India. And the legislative subject here you see is that the practice in Supreme Court or in the High Court. The entry 77 speaks about the organization, constitution, and jurisdiction parts of the Supreme Court. 78 is in the similar terms. It speaks about the constitution, organization, etc. of the High Court. So the Advocates Act is basically for the practice in Supreme Court and High Court. This is the we see the statement and the object of the basic Advocates Act, or the preamble of the Advocates Act, is that it is not expressly referring about the standards of legal education. As we find in the preamble of the statement and objects and reasons of the UGC Act, or at the same time in Medical Council Act of 1956 also. It speaks about the standards of medical education. The UGC Act speaks about the standards of examination in higher education. But the Advocates Act doesn't speak about the standards of legal education. The only point or the only provision which we find in the Advocates Act about legal education is section 7(1)(h), which refers to this aspect. And in view of this law commission, the law courses in the universities which offer certain law degrees or diplomas which do not enable a person to practice the Bar Council of India cannot impose any mandatory conditions. And that's why you see that the universities which are running the LLM programs or any diploma or degree, etc., PhD program, then Bar Council of India was not having any control over that courses. And you see, in such cases, the UGC had the prerogative that the UGC will decide, UGC will make the standard as to how these programs are to be run in the universities and the college departments. However, in laying down the standards by the universities, even in regard to such courses, the prerogative is that the UGC and the universities, they would be benefited by consulting the Bar Council of India. This was the thing. And in other words, we can say that in regard to those courses in law which directly are not leading to the professional career, the UGC and the university could, at their option or at their own discretion, they can consult the Bar Council of India, though it's not mandatory. So this was the system, and the Law Commission of India, in its working paper, which was submitted in 1999, that also proposing about the amendments to the Advocates Act, that the consultation with the UGC is to be a must. And the UGC has also welcomed this step of the Law Commission of India. And you see that the Law Commission in its 184th report has recommended that the Bar Council of India must consult a body which effectively represents all universities, and that such body should be constituted by the University Grants Commission. So the recommendation, main recommendation of 184th report of the Law Commission was just to have that Bar Council of India must consult with the universities' educational bodies. Then we find that the recommendations of the legal on the legal education by National Knowledge Commission, that report was submitted in October 2007, and under the chairmanship of Sam Pitroda. The National Knowledge Commission report has submitted on various issues in legal education. So it started from regulatory reform, new standing committee for the legal education is to be there. And it says that the concept of legal education has to be changed. The provisions of Advocate Acts are no longer sufficient. Whatever is being done under the Advocates Act by the Bar Council of India for legal education, that is not sufficient. This was the recommendation of National Knowledge Commission. And the commission also said that there is a big need for non-practicing law graduates also. Open university system must also cater the legal education. It's not only the persons they are going into the legal profession, the legal academia is also as much required effectively. And the Bar Council of India has no effective consultation with the law faculty in making the syllabi or preparing the courses, etc. So that's why the several law schools with poor quality, they have been given the permission. So this was the observation and recommendation of National Knowledge Commission. And they recommended for a new regulatory mechanism also, and that was to be known as the Independent Regulatory Authority for Higher Education. And the Bar Council of India has to recommend the minimum standards which are to be binding on the schools. Then it recommended for the prioritizing the quality and to develop a rating system among the schools and universities that as to the quality of legal education. Then it has also worked on the curriculum development of the law courses. And examination system was also recommended that it needs to be revised, and the evaluation methods be developed that the test that may test the critical reasoning of the student concerned, and to encourage them for essential analytical and writing or communicating skills. So these type of the recommendations were also given by the National Knowledge Commission. And you see the National Education Policy 2020 also speaks about the same thing. And they are also believing in the learning by practicality, and they are not to be dependent on the rote learning only. So memorizing a thing and then to reproduce in the answer books during examination, that should not be the criteria for enhancing the quality of legal education. The examination system needs to be changed. Then again, the commission also suggested the measures which may attract the more and more talented faculties, or the talented faculties, if they are there, then they can be retained in the universities and colleges, because they were not having getting proper remuneration for their work. Their service conditions were not very good. So to introduce better remuneration or service conditions, these were the suggestions of the National Knowledge Commission. Then research was also focused in this National Knowledge Commission, that developing a research tradition in the law schools and the universities has to be seen. And not only at the research degree level, but from the very beginning, from the LLB courses, from the LLM courses, the students, they must be emphasized for analytical writing skills and research methodology as integrated aspect of the LLB program. And at the same time, the dissertation must be a compulsory subject for the PG program, that is LLM program. At the same time, the benefits and the this increment, etc., or incentives have to be given to the teachers who are doing good work in writing or paper writing or research articles or the research work basically, and also to prescribe the research output of the teachers as a criteria for the promotion. So we see that this National Knowledge Commission, which was focusing more on the research area in legal education, it also recommended for the establishment of the centers for advanced legal studies and research also. And for all that, the finance is a big problem. So it has also suggested certain financing modules for the legal education and the different dimensions of internationalization of the legal education, because we all know that now we are living in a global world. So the teaching which we are having in India, that must have the international connection also. And for that, technology, for dimension, different dimensions of legal knowledge that are also required. So all these good suggestions were given by the National Knowledge Commission in 2007. And you see some of the national law universities have followed, because clinical legal education and all these things, these were all the part of the suggestions of this commission. So they have followed, and you see the report has very, very meticulously and very accurately touched upon various aspects of legal education, right from the curriculum to the regulatory body. Then next in the series, I'll be discussing with you is the Bar Council of India and this National Education Policy of 2020. So, because this is something which is in existence, and almost all the teachers must be employed now in making changes as per the national education policies in their schools, departments, and the universities. And one thing which is good about the national education policy, that it is very, very progressive and it is very, very ambitious at the same time. Before this policy of 2020, we were having the National Education Policy of 1986, which was amended in 1992 also. So this 2020 policy focuses on the flexibility and quality education. This focuses on the life skills, ethics, constitutional values. These are the main contribution we can say of this policy. So now, prior to NAP 2020, the UG law courses were controlled by the Bar Council of India, as I told you, and the PG, MPhil, and research courses were controlled by the University Grants Commission. But legal and medical education are not there in the 2020 National Education Policy. Not in the sense that these are not under the regulatory authority of the Higher Education Commission, which is there to be appointed under this National Education Policy. So the question, therefore, is how this policy would be beneficiary for legal education. This is one. And with the fact that professional education is one of the necessary part of the higher education system, and professional education, of course, legal education is the part. And whether the regulatory body for legal education, that is Bar Council of India, which was looking after only undergraduate legal education, that is 3-year and 5-year program, would also control the postgraduate and research programs in law. So presently, these three type of institutions, as I told you, whether this will be a challenge to implement the national education policy, particularly legal education matter. So a reference to the provisions for legal education in the NEP becomes very, very essential. And you see that part third of the national education policy that speaks about the legal education. Reference is given there under chapter 20, which is professional education, which includes agriculture, health, technical education, and legal education. And it speaks about the stand-alone universities. Stand-alone universities, that means the single discipline universities, be it agricultural universities, be it law universities, health science universities, technical universities, and the stand-alone institutions in these fields, they shall aim to multidisciplinary institutions by 2030. This is one thing which is given under Chapter 20 of the National Education Policy. So we are talking about the national law universities. These are said to be the stand-alone universities. So they have to change as per NEP by 2030 into multidisciplinary institutions. And particularly when we talk about the legal education, then chapter 20, part 4, it says about the legal education, and NAP says that it needs to be competitive globally. So what National Education Knowledge Commission said about the internationalization of legal education, this is also the focus area of national education policy, that it needs to be competitive globally. It should adopt the best practices, and it should have the new technologies for wider access, and for the timely delivery of justice. And you see that we all know the constitutional preambular objectives of justice, social, economic, and political. This is also national policy also says about that the legal education should be directed towards the national reconstruction through implementation of democracy, democratic values, rule of law, human rights. So all these values must be the part of the legal education, and the curricula of legal studies that must reflect the socio-cultural context, and that is the history of legal thinking, the principles of justice, and practice of jurisprudence, that must be adequately put in the contents of the syllabus, or the legal education. And you see the state institutions which are offering the law education, they must also consider of offering law education in bilingual manner, so that you see offering bilingual education for future lawyers and judges in English and the other language of that state in which the institution is situated. So this is the provision which is there in the national education policy of 2020. Then we see that the education for the future lawyers and judges is to be in English and in the language of the state, in the state language in which the institution is situated. So now there is only one confusion, or we can say there must be some problem at the time of the implementation of this bilingual policy, for particularly for the central universities and the national law universities, etc., which are taking admission on the basis of the All India Entrance Examination. And also you see BCI rules of 2020 also provides for the All India Common Entrance Test. So suppose if there is a Kannada speaking student from Karnataka, or from a Malayali speaking student from Kerala as her mother tongue, then got admission in Karnataka or Kerala, then we find, because of this All India Entrance merit test, so they can study the law in the Malayalam, they can study the law in Kannada. But would it be possible? Would it be feasible, or what should I say? It would be easy for the students to learn a subject at the stage of the graduation level in a language which is foreign to him or her. So we have to see at the implementation level that what we are thinking about by this bilingual language at this level also in law education. Though it is always a good thing that ensuring the ease of language, or in the legal education, to the comfort of the students, it is always very good for the education sectors. But we should also think about the constitutional mandate of Article 351, which speaks about the spread of Hindi language. So that is also one of the area on which we can discuss upon. I'm not touching that area at this moment. And also in view of the globalization, as the policy is also speaking about the globalization, the Knowledge Commission is saying about the globalization, and on the other hand, this policy is providing for the bilingual education method or mode. So in view of the globalization, discontinuing the English as the primary medium of teaching and learning, can it hamper the competition at global level? Mostly where the English is the parent or the first language. This is also one of the questions which need a great discussion before implementation of bilingual mode of instruction in the legal education. Then the national education policy, it speaks about the various goals which are to be achieved in making the legal education. And you see, the Bar Council of India has published its rule on in January 2021. Bar Council of India Legal Education, postgraduate, doctoral, executive, vocational clinical rules 2020. So as I told you earlier that the new education policy 2020 has to put legal education out of this umbrella of the apex body, that is the Higher Education Commission, and the regulatory arm of the National Higher Education Regulatory Council. So here we see the legal education is to be regulated by the Bar Council of India. And Bar Council of India, under Rule 12 of this 2020 rules, which is a transitory provision, it provides for the that until the Curriculum Development Committee or the Legal Education Committee is not deciding otherwise, the four mandatory or compulsory courses are to be taught to the law students at PG level. And the courses are law and social transformation. It was earlier there. Theories of law and justice to be introduced. Research methodology and design of blueprint, that is being taught in some of the universities. Quantitative analysis. So you see that as a part of the core course or compulsory course, constitution is not there. While the policy is speaking about to bring the constitutional values, rule of law, human rights, socio-economic justice, and all these things, but BCI has not considered while framing the rules for the PG education. And you see, this is one of the gap between the rules made by the Bar Council of India under the power given by the National Education Policy, as it is said in the objectives of the Bar Council rules of 2020. So one thing more which was said by the NEP is that to give more and more practical assignments and skill development of courses. So for that, BCI has worked upon giving the provisions for paralegal and court management or the courses, which can be done with the help of the National Legal Service Authority or with the help of the State Legal Service Authority, and the court management or the education training or in time training, all these things which are there, the skills of the advocacy, these are the part which are to be taken care of. This has been given in the paralegal court management courses by the BCI. Now, for skill development in law students at UG level and at PG level, there must be a difference. But BCI has not taken care of this thing. And it must look beyond moot court and clinical education, the language left like writing skills, drafting, contracts, and notices, pleadings. These are the things which are required to sharpen the students in their drafting skills at the UG level. Similarly, we talk about at the PG level, then the focus of the students and of the NEP is towards the critical thinking, along with the discovery, discussion, analysis of the contents and content creation. So they should be polished in legislative drafting or also by drafting the model law as part of their research work. They should be polished or they should be sharpened to write the paper reviews, literature reviews. These should be the things which are to be there. But the Bar Council of India has not prescribed all these things. The only thing which the Bar Council of India has mainly focused in this 2020 bill is just to abolish one-year degree program, LLM program, which was started by UGC in 2013. And though the case is pending before the Supreme Court, however, as per interim order, the Bar Council is allowed for one-year degree course to run between in this coming session, that is 21-22. So you see that BCI, which has abolished the one-year program, which is a common program around the world. And NEP also provides to ensure the inclusion of global education outreach in the education sector, which is a positive step towards the India's international recognition. So how we see that BCI is not following those basic norms, which is the part of the national education policy. And on the basis of that policy provisions, the Bar Council of India is making the rules for PG program in the law. And it seems that the NEP is saying something different, and BCI is going beyond the NEP while making the rules in the legal education. So legal education needs to be competitive globally, and that is not seen by this abolishing of the 1 year program by the Bar Council of India. Then at the same time, you see that early exit or multiple exit and entry, this is another main focus of the national education policy, while Bar Council of India doesn't permit the student to have a lateral entry or for having a exit early without doing the full degree, because until and unless the student is having a degree of law, he cannot go for practicing in the legal profession because the law degree is a must. So we have to see that the law program, which is of 5 years in our country, which is of 3 years in our country, and NEP is saying it has to be 4 year graduation program. So what changes are to be made with reference to the NEP by BCI, whether BCI has to come up with the 4 year bachelor degree with research program or not. This is to be seen, and this is something a new aspect on which everyone has to work upon and to amend the regulations for multi-entry and multi-exit programs. And then again, there would be a problem in the 3 year law degree, because you see all the 3 years the students just be taught about the courses which are based on the law papers, while in 5 years 2 years are non-law and 3 years are law papers. So if this early exit and entry would be there, so how to make this degree, certificate, diploma, and research degree program as per national education policy? This is also very critical for its implementation, because law you cannot teach in isolation. It is required that if you are teaching IPC, if you are teaching CRPC, then you have to link it with the evidence law also, CRPC. If you are teaching other procedural law, CPC, then you have to take some help or link of the other substantive law also. Constitution as being the supreme law, you need to discuss in various papers. So where to stop, how to make the different years program as per NEP for this early exit and early entry, late entry. This is also very important to be seen. And you see for this multiple exit options for degree diploma, etc. Every year there would be fresh admission for all the odd semesters. So seats of the students who left for various reasons may be filled along with those who wish to enter at a later stage. So presently there is no provision for lateral entry, as I told you, by the Bar Council of India. So how this has to be implemented, this is also one of the issue which needs a special specification. And then you see regarding the financing, etc. If the Bar Council of India would be the regulatory authority, then the other higher educational system, which speaks about the higher education grant council that is provided in the national education policy, whether that benefits would be given to the national law schools, to the universities law departments, that is also to be seen in that reference, that how these finances are to be supplied to the universities. And moreover, you see the national law universities, which are the standalone universities, these have to be converted into multidisciplinary universities, that is known as the MERU, Multidisciplinary Education Research University, MERU. So they have established themselves, they have developed their infrastructure, they have developed their resources to meet their specialized requirements of teaching and learning. So how they would be converting into Meru from standalone university that needs money and financing, that would also be one of the major area where the discussion is very much required. And then the entire, I see the role is of the Bar Council of India to see that the law schools, the law departments, the law universities, they should not be the institutions of only degree selling, rather quality education with inclusiveness is to be the main aim of the Bar Council of India rules. And legal education is not only to be limited to achieve that is of being a legal practitioner, but also the legal academicians and researchers. And so the legal curriculum in educational institutions need to be designed in a manner that enables the development of skills, the skills which is required for pursuing different legal professions, not only the courtroom practices. And for this, the Bar Council of India has to change its attitude, not to work for legal practitioners, but for legal academicians too. And and you see that the legal academicians must be consulted in the matters relating to enhance the standards of legal education to meet the global challenges. In 2020 rules of BCI, legal education are more focused on postgraduate doctoral executive vocational programs. That is not to be the sole criteria. However, the higher legal education needs a special type of the knowledge that has to be the part of the rules of Bar Council of India. So educational upgradation and efficiency advancement, you see, in professional education, the BCI provides that associate for Bar Council of India, ABCI, as an equivalent program of PG law to advocate that the advocates who are practicing in the court, they can also enter and can also be admitted for LLM program. So in the same way, law teachers should also be allowed to practice, and they should be made the part of the Bar Council of India. As they are entering into the legal academia, the legal academia must also be allowed to enter there too. So this is how, if we see the role of Bar Council under the national education policy, the policy says something different, the rules are different, and they are not relating each other. So the rules are to be made in consonance, in conformity with the national education policy. Though presently the rules are in the court pending, the judgment is awaited. So we see that the Bar Council of India has to change its attitude so that legal education, the main focus should be to maintain the quality education, to maintain the standards of education. Otherwise, the legal education would be facing various challenges, not only nationally, but internationally also. So with these words, I would like to thank the organizers who have given me the opportunity to speak on the issues on the legal education and at the same time the national education policy. And if there is any question, then I would be happy to answer those questions.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And your address is full of academic contents and very lucid. And you cover all the issues and your